Chapter 4. Slinking along the forest floor, Arrow studied his surroundings. He explored most of the island, even managed to come across the several villages in the area and learn the locals' ways. It was an unbelievable experience, breaking through his knowledge of the world. Everywhere he went, there was always something new. For this place, it was a vast jungle full of critters and beasts. Liliana would have loved to see a place of such unique variety. Peeking out from behind his bush, he could hear distant chatter. Obviously, he'd investigate. Perhaps it was the trader, and his job could be done quick and easy. Growing closer to the voices, he'd seen a woman lay hand on a younger male. He stood still, just accepting it. Of course, curiosity piqued his interest, as the flower was plucked from his hands, and he followed them. Never entering the cave they did, only listening. The murmuring of the two boys could barely be heard. Catching some words, he began to question. Him? Who might that refer to? Burning rogue dandelions. Fang had told him about those. Kneeling down before the black flower, perking up at his presence, they were in a field of them, the spot where they grew their most valuable herbs. This flower, Arrow, it beat a rogue dandelion, the only cure to a bite from the scorpion snake. Do use this fact. They're common round here, Fang announced, as a caution for the elf in their time of teaching him how to survive on the island should he be left alone, quite like in current time. Hearing one of the boys shout, he tensed, pushing himself deeper into the bush, listening carefully to their conversation. He'd stalk this one then. Going into town, he could only wonder which town of them all. He waited, wanting a location, one he could pass along to Fang and his superiors, narrowing his eyes as he heard the mysterious man being brought up again. Going town to town. Was this the trader they spoke of? Silence followed suit. 1 minute. 2 minutes. The makeshift door opened, and out came the white-haired man. He quickly followed after him, hidden in the shrubbery. This boy couldn't have had the information he needed, living in a cave, seemingly hiding from the truth of the world. Oh, how hard it hit him when it breaks through those walls. Alert, he could hear the slightest shift of the grass to his right. The male was on his leftmost side. Drawing his bow, the wind whistled when he released the arrow as the reptile launched out of the bushes. A broken hiss escaped the black-scaled creature. Slinking out of the shadows, he kneeled over the decapitated snake, taking up his arrow and the lifeless body, still twitching ever so slightly. He looked over at the male, pointing the carefully carved stick at him. Death comes. Quiet, but the boy heard him. Looking up to the sky, he kissed the fletching of the reed, raising it to the sky. Arrow carefully lowered it back down, pointing it at the boy before him. May Seala guide your path. Having taken the bolt, he looked up to respond, only for the elf to have disappeared before him. All that remained in his stead was the deep paw prints left by his familiar. Arrow Cat Howler, a secretive man, especially in the face of his mortal enemy, even if required of him to share all he knew. He spoke as he packed a small bag for the day. I hope you won't mind my disappearance again today, fiend. I've been tipped to a village in peril. A village? Do tell. The troll peered over his shoulder, taking his attention from the mashing of herbs, raising his head as he snatched up his quiver and slung it over his shoulder, glaring through his lashes only to turn his head. I've informed your king. I have no need to announce it to you as well. I watch your stay, elf. You ought to watch your tone. What village? Setting the bowl on the floor, he rose to his feet to snatch the arm of the elf. A good foot difference between the two. Arrow seemed to shrivel in on himself ever so slightly. Highleaf. There are guards keeping watch over it as we speak. However, this is not the place I will be going. Goldrim is my destination. The humans. You'd be killed on sight. His voice was near a shout, clearly concerned of the assassin's safety. His people needed him. You would be killed on sight. They know me. Reaching up, purple skin brushed against discolored and strangely textured scarring. It seemed like that mere fact caused Fang to take a step back. He was put in his place. I trust your reputation. Thank yourself for that. Spite. It was still bitterly evident in all that Arrow considered in relation to Fang. He'd never forgive him till his lifeless body was in his grasp. Cloak draped over him, he slinked through the crowd of people, each carrying their own goods, miners dragging in the Knight's Hall of Gold, carpenters building upon their growing fortress. Even cloaked, they didn't seem to pay him much mind, as long as he wasn't beyond tall like the trolls. It would seem they didn't care. Looking upon their market, he grabbed a mango, studying it carefully before being interrupted by the stock-keep. You touch it, you buy it. Apologies, I don't have the coin, he responded, returning it to the crate before his hand was snatched up. Come on, you grubby natives. Have to have some form of gold. He beckoned, a smug grin dancing on his face. Greedy bastard. The only form of gold I hold is the blade with your name etched into the steel. Looking up at him with a cold stare, he reached for the blade he spoke of. Oh, come on now. Let's not get hostile. Tell you what, I won't make you pay. You can take what you want. Pitiful spawn. I don't want your fruit. He scoffed, turning around only to hear screams burst from the people and the crackle of beginning flames. Tricked. He had to have been tricked. Highleaf was getting attacked, not Goldrim. That boy. He'd find him. Of course, as everyone ran. He'd seen a white-haired boy, cowering before a tall figure, frozen before being launched across the camp, falling upon a crate resulting in the brutal impaling by the splintered wood. As the fire spread, Arrow found himself also incapable of movement, his scar seeming to sting as badly as when he'd first been cursed with the mark. The world began to black out around him. The air left him as he collapsed at the hand of the Blood King's witches who forced the smoke into his lungs. They were taking him. But why? Stragglethorn was meant to be safe from his hand. Perhaps there was more to a bargain, and he'd been caught in the middle. He didn't truly know. It was only a hope. A sliver of it.